So I'm going into live stream already, and I know I'm 15 minutes early, but I'd rather I'll just read everything.
Sure.
And
so do we have any feedback issues anymore?
no, then I am
Move around. Hello. Hey.
Roar! All right, now I will talk. Can you hear me? In the computer, there's a little bit of a lag. We'll say the City of Dallas, Oregon Public Works Committee agenda, Tuesday, January 17th, 2023, 4 p.m., City Council Chambers, Dallas City Hall, 187 Southeast Court Street, Dallas, Oregon, 97338.
okay, I am just walking in on the video now, so give it a second. Yeah, there you go. Yeah. Okay.
Okay, so keep it unmuted.
Yep. Actually, I'm going to mute it right now.
Hello?
Okay, now I'm unmuting the meeting.
Ready to start? Yeah, go and wait for my. How's your flights? Good?
Flights were long, but they were all on time, so I can't complain.
All right, that's good.
You know, I'd always
You
consider.
didn't fly Southwest?
No, I did not.
I did. It was
Yeah,
fine.
yeah. No, I flew United out and Delta back. Went out through Houston, came back through JFK. I tell you, Puerto Rico is a long ways out there. It is not just a Caribbean island, it's really an Atlantic island.
And I did not like my experience flying United. I like Delta.
Yeah, Delta's okay. Yeah, same with United.
I just are cold airline.
Yeah, even the decor is just, they didn't spend any money on the decor inside. No, Delta flies well. I like
Yeah,
that.
I like Delta. I'm flying to LA.
Sorry, it was a phone
Later
call
this
I've been
month,
waiting
I'll
for.
fly Delta.
Oh, you, Alaska.
8:30 this morning.
Because it goes to where we go most often. Delta's good.
All right, welcome
Newport.
to the January 17th committee, I'm already,
Public Works.
Public Works Committee meeting.
And don't worry, I do that all the time.
And Emily, go ahead and call the roll, please.
Counselor Fitzgerald,
Here,
Council President Schilling,
Here.
Counselor Collins, I have not heard from. She should, hopefully she'll be here later. Counselor Shane,
Here.
we have a quorum.
first on our agenda is the approval of the October 24th meeting minutes. They're in your packet. Does anyone have any changes or anything they'd like to add or?
Move to approve.
Second.
Right,
See, we took care of it.
thank you. And next is the utility rate
You have to vote, you have to vote on that. You have to vote on that.
Oh.
Motion.
And just say all those in favor.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next is the utility rate discussion. I'll hand it over to Brian.
Perfect. Thank you, Councilor Fitzgerald. So this is the primary item on the agenda today. So I'm not going to kind of recite what's in the report, put a lot of information in here. We have water, sewer, and stormwater rates in the city of Dallas. And what we're looking at is kind of forecasting out over the next several years, looking at our capital improvement plan, including projects that have been added in this year in the draft plan, which will be going to the budget committee and the council later this year. And I really discovered that there's a need for us today to start planning and saving for some major infrastructure improvement projects that are necessary and need to get done. These really aren't optional for us at this time, and they include some very costly projects, especially on the water side. Right, we're looking at a new treated water reservoir at James Howe Road. We're looking at replacing the covers at the Clay Street water reservoirs. We're looking at a water line replacement project on Clay Street. We're also looking at a new dam to replace the Aaron Mercer Reservoir Dam. These are significant projects totaling over $70 million within the next several years. And so those will be paid for in a number of ways, including some debt services that we will likely take out to pay for some of those projects. That being said, in order to make those debt service payments, that would come out of the rates that we would collect. And so we want to be proactive in starting to save for some of those projects, but in addition, also be able to pay for some of the smaller projects that we have in the next few years. So again, I included the proposed utility rates under the recommended action on page 3 and 4 of your agenda. I also include the current rates that were approved by the resolutions, which are included as attachment A to your report, both for the water and stormwater, but also the sewer rates. When we forecasted out our models for the budget, and including the projects that we have, we really see a need to make adjustments to the water rates and the stormwater rates. The sewer rates, we're feeling pretty confident we'll be able to make do with what we're currently collecting and forecasting. over the next couple of years with the projects that we have scheduled. Some of our more significant sewer infrastructure projects are SDC eligible. And so, those aren't necessarily affected by rates because we're paying out of the development fees that we collect from building activity in our community. And our sewer SDC fund is the healthiest of the SDC funds that we have.
Can I ask a question?
Yes.
What projects wouldn't be SDC eligible?
So maintenance projects, so the.
Oh, so we're not talking about all capital projects here.
We're
It's a
not talking
mixture.
about, we're not talking about all capital projects, it's a mixture.
Got it, okay.
But in the sewer fund, right, and sewer category of projects, or capital projects, the larger ones that we have forthcoming are SDC eligible, right? We're in the water fund, not all of our future projects are SDC eligible, right? Some are and some aren't. And so we need to really look at our water fund in particular. That's where we have the most expensive capital improvement projects coming up. And we need to be able to set money aside for those projects in the future, as well as pay for some of those projects in the future that aren't SDC eligible. So again, the rates in comparison are in here. We're proposing not to do any adjustments on the sewer fund. We suspended increases on that back in 2020, and we're still looking good as growth continues in the community on that fund and those rates. But we are proposing adjustments to the water rates as well as the stormwater rate. I'll start with the stormwater rate because that's the simplest.
Before you get into it,
Yes.
are the rates regarding both of these funds, are the current rates the ones that were set by these attached resolutions?
So set by the resolutions plus any annual adjustments that were made by resolution.
Because I noticed
So-
the resolutions are 6 years old.
Right,
Yeah.
so the water resolution in particular, it established an annual increase of 4.31%. So the current rates reflect the rates that were set by that resolution plus
Plus the increase.
4.31% each year to what we have today. The stormwater rates, those were set by resolution a while back. The resolution that's in the attachment set the rate at $10 currently. It was a 3-year escalation. Because it was $2.50, we increased it to $5, then $7.50, and now $10. So 10 is where we currently sit on that. So again, looking at what we're proposing in the stormwater fund, as we finish our North Fork at the Ash Creek stormwater study, we know there's going to be some significant projects coming out of that. Those are not currently in the capital improvement plan, but we're looking at just under $2 million of projects that we have in the plan already, not including those additional projects that we know we're going to cut. So we are proposing a 3-year increase in that rate from $10 today to $12 starting in 2023, and then another $2 to $14 in 2024, and then another $2 in 2025. So over the next 3 years, we're increasing it by a total of $6, going from 10 to 16. We feel pretty confident that that will be able to help us pay for the projects that we have today, and afford us some of the projects that we know are going to come out of the Ash Creek study. We'll reevaluate after those 3 years based on those Ash Creek study projects, what we need to do with that rate in the future. Questions on the stormwater rate? Okay. So the water rate is a little bit more complicated because there's a number of different rates that we look at. Again, the projects that we're looking at funding total about $76 million in the CIP. Those are estimates. Some of those projects are at least 5 years out. So we kind of estimate what those costs are going to be. They could be different, but at least for the next 3 years, we're looking at some pretty significant increases to get us to a point where we're able to save some significant money towards those projects as they come online. But the base rate today for a residential user is $22.03. We're looking at a $3.41 increase in 2023, and then another, basically $3.96 in 2024, and then another $4.56 in 2025 to the base rate. The per additional unit of water rate increases from $2.37 to a total of $3.76 at the end of those 3 years. We also have base rates for multifamily, commercial, industrial users, also for people that live outside the city limits, we have different rates. All of those are increasing by the same percentage as you go through, but wanted to highlight just the residential rate. I included in the report attachment C, which is the League of Oregon City's most recent water survey that they did for all the water purveyors across the state. They offered the survey to everyone. 137 cities responded to that survey. So of the 220 cities that you have in the state, more than half responded to that survey. So I think you have a good volume of water purveyors that participated in the survey. The information that I pulled out specifically and included in the report was a hypothetical scenario to kind of normalize the data for rates, because rates can vary so much from city to city, depending on how they charge, what they charge for, and those sorts of factors that go into rates. But what they did is they said, tell us how much your community charges a single family home for 5,000 gallons of water, right? So we did, so they did that, and they found that for, and this is the rate comparison is on page 7 of the report. So it's table 3. So for the year 2021, when they did that study, the statewide average for 5,000 gallons of water was $44.17. For that 5,000 gallons of water in the city of Dallas, our customers paid $29.41. So you can see the city of Dallas provides a quality product for a lot less money than the statewide average. What that tells me is that there's room for some growth in our rates to be able to afford the infrastructure projects that we have coming. And really what that tells me is the other communities maybe have already made investments in their infrastructure that have caused their rates to increase by the amounts that they currently have. So looking at that statewide comparison, as we forecast out in 2022, 2023, 2024, and 2025, and I assumed a 3% annual increase on the statewide average each year, which I think is fairly conservative. We're looking at in the year 2025 for that 5,000 gallons of water, it's going to cost a customer average statewide $49.71. Local. Do we have a dog out in the hall?
Sounds like it.
Okay.
I hope so.
Yeah.
I hope that's all it is.
Yeah, right. For the city of Dallas, for that same 5,000 gallons of water in 2025, with the proposed rate increases, you're looking at $48.76. So again, these proposed rate increases would bring us closer into alignment with the statewide average. And so that's really what we're looking at. Understanding these are some significant increases, but we also have some significant projects that have to take place between, over the next several years.
Make one comment.
Yes.
Turn to page 34. And this is where we're pulling the average from. And one thing to put it in more perspective, if we're in the third quintile, so it's 48.78. If you look at the map on the back page, that's the third. And then we're on the South Willamette Valley. So you can see even that the average, we're still below that 44.27 is a statewide average. And for me, I prefer looking a little bit closer to home, but we're still going to be well below those points, even with the correction.
Yeah, so regionally, we're even below, is what Michael's saying. So, because the regional average today is $48 compared to our 29. So
we've had very cheap water for a great many years, nothing lasts forever.
Right. So if you forecast that out of that $48, you're looking, somewhere in the mid $50 range after 3 years from now. And again, we would be at $48.76. So $4 or $5 less than our region for the average.
The reason I brought that up is I really don't like rate increases, but if we're supplying a quality service and we need to supply it for the future, we've got to look at is it more painful to pay it now or in the future when you have to come up with the 70 million? Well, if we do the 70 million, that means we're going to have to go out to a bond, and it's going to be a very large bond. Where if we do it through a rate increase, and so it's incremental over the next 6 to 10 years, it's a lot easier for you and I to budget and for me to support as a council person.
Yeah,
absolutely right. That's why I made the comment I made about how cheap the water's been for so many years. Yeah.
Yeah, and I would just say our plan for the big project on the water side, right, replacing Aaron Mercer Reservoir with a new dam. We expect that project to be about $65 million, Gary, 75, somewhere in there, 65 to 70 million.
Is that in today's money, or is that what we project?
That's the best scenario, and
Yeah,
that's
because that sounded optimistic.
right. And those are today's dollars, or those estimated for the future. Those are today's
Oh, yeah,
dollars.
it's gonna,
right?
you know it's gonna be more.
So we know it's gonna be
You know
more.
it's gonna be more.
But even understanding that, we don't want to put that project on the full backs of our citizens and our taxpayers and ratepayers. So, you know, I am already engaged in conversations at the state and federal level to access as much of their money as we can to reduce that burden. But we do recognize, because the first question they ask is, well, where's your skin in the game, right? So this is getting our skin in the game. We've set aside $600,000 this year, Cecilia, in the budget. Over the next 3 years, by the time we get that third increase put in place, our plan is to set aside $2 million per year into that project. And so, you know, when we go to build that, you know, 7 years from now, 8 years from now, we're gonna have, you know, $10 million, $12 million set aside for that project. So that way we can say, hey, we're bringing $12 million to the table, you know, state, why don't you give me 15 or 20, feds give me another 40, and we can make that project happen. So that's what we're hoping to be able to do with this. We're not asking for a standard kind of per year increase after the 3 years, because we just don't know what the future's going to hold in 3 years. We know that this gets us in a better position than we are today, and you know, when we're going into that third year, we can start to evaluate, project, and forecast out from then what we'll need to look at for the future. But so that's what we're proposing. Again, table 1 is the rates for the water and the stormwater that we're proposing, and there's a recommended motion to have the Public Works Committee recommend that the City Council approve those rate adjustments for the water and the stormwater services, and direct our City Attorney, Lane Shetterly, to draft those resolutions.
So for my clarification, again, the staff number refers to water, sanitary sewer, and stormwater rates, but you're not proposing a change in
We're
sewer.
not proposing anything to the sanitary sewer.
yeah,
It would
okay.
just be, and we're not
Yep.
like getting rid of sanitary sewer rates.
Right, right.
We're keeping that resolution on the books.
That will just, yeah, that will just
Just not
continue
making
under the
any
current
adjustments.
resolution.
Yep.
All right, all
Yep.
right.
Correct.
Okay, so any questions or comments or anything like that? Well, then, would anyone like to recommend the motion?
Well, he did last time, so I will this time. I move we forward this recommendation to City Council.
Any second?
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
And anything else anyone wanted to bring up? Okay, I'll adjourn.
Thank you.
Gavel.
Back here at 5:30?
Back here at 5:30.
Yeah, it's pizza tonight?
Oh, at,
Doing
or
sandwiches.
Sandwiches,
whatever.
okay.
Yeah, sandwiches and food tray.
All right.
Oh, we get festive. Nice.
Yes.
We didn't know how long this meeting was gonna go.
I thought, yeah, I didn't either, because I thought we were gonna do 2, or we're only doing the 1.
We're just doing the public works today. Yeah, not public safety.